That's the initial step into glowing up. Do not look for other people to say, like, don't look and wait and do things like, for example, say you are glowing up and you think that you are, and you're like, I'm doing all these new things, yet no one's saying that I look any different. No one's saying I feel different.
It's about the way you feel.
Hello, and welcome back to A Little Birdie Told You. I'm your host, Kristen Knight.
And I'm your host, Kelly Knight.
And today, the topic of discussion is going to be about improving yourself. So a lot of people like to refer to it as glowing up. Mm-hmm. They're like, oh, this is how you glow up, or this is what glowing up is. But I think there's a lot more to glowing up, and I think it comes from like an internal point of view and also like an external, your physical appearance and how you see yourself. So I want to talk a little bit about that and kind of how to glow up, as a lot of people would say. So, but basically it's improving yourself, right? So I think it starts internally. A lot of people like to say
I feel like a lot of people are like, oh appearance. Yeah, like a glow up some more is like, oh yeah, just putting a little bit of makeup on, maybe getting a haircut. Really, I feel like it's like, you might like look like attractive and like the outside of you, but like I feel like it's more the inside, because you have girls that like, even this is for guys, they'll sit there and they're like, oh yeah, I'm like the best, like I'm like really attractive, I'm really good looking, you know, I can pull whoever I want. You know what? Really, at the end of the day, it's the way you act, I feel like, because it's like you see these girls sometimes walk around and, you know, they're pretty, but then they look over at some girls and they're like, oh my gosh, her outfit's so weird looking, like this or that. Like, you know, girls should be supporting girls and guys should be supporting guys. I know that like everybody's probably like, oh my gosh, that's so cringy, you shouldn't be saying that. Really, why are we against each other, really? Like, there's no sense. What are we like comparing ourselves for? Yeah. Exactly. Like, you should be like sitting there supporting each other. There's no sense in wasting time in life being like that.
I understand that, because it's like, if you're not secure in yourself, why are you going to get jealous of other people?
The only reason why somebody's going to sit there and be like, oh yeah, like they look bad, or like just something in general, making fun of somebody, the only reason why you're doing that is because like internally you're insecure and you're like jealous of that person, the way like whatever you're making fun of them for, maybe their style, whatever, you're jealous of it.
And I think the glow up concept comes from not liking yourself or not feeling confident in the person you are. So you're looking for a source to change.
Is more is like improving yourself and finding yourself and actually like loving yourself more.
Like, I think the typical glow up concept comes from like, oh, I'm going to change my hair, I'm going to change my appearance, I'm going to change this and that and that. And yes, those things, those components do help you feel better about yourself. I will admit, like maybe getting a new hairstyle or starting to go to the gym, eating healthy.
And something about glowing up, it's not for other people, it's for you. Like some people are like, oh yeah, it makes you look more attractive. It's what makes you feel happy at the end of the day, not what other people like have opinions on you.
Yeah, the fundamental component to glowing up is you first need to realize this is for you and not for other people.
Exactly.
Don't look at yourself and say, okay, I want to change this about my appearance because other people are going to find me more appealing. Do it because you want to feel better about you and you want to improve yourself and feel better about yourself for you.
Because like something that people don't understand is like having yourself, like things that make you happy and the way that you feel about yourself and your appearance makes you more confident. Like having what other people want to see on you doesn't make you as confident. It's more about what you feel happy in.
And I'm generally just going to say this because even though it's not about appearing more attractive to other people, but yes, you do want to appear more physically attractive, or even just, I think when you become internally attractive and you find yourself attractive, this allows other people to perceive you as attractive. And it doesn't matter if other people see you as attractive or they find you appealing or they're naturally drawn to you. But I think that the moment that you realize it's for you and you're not focused on doing it for other people, that's when naturally other people are just amazed by your presence and find you physically and like emotionally attractive. And they look at you and they're like, wow.
People, like, the thing is, confidence is what people find attractive. Like immediately once you're confident, like enough in like your skin, people are like, oh my gosh, I want to be that person.
I honestly think that's one of the key components to glowing up is confidence. Confidence is honestly everything. I did not realize how important confidence was until the day I was like, Kelly used to always say, fake it till you make it. And that is so true, because when you fake confidence and you sit there and you're like, okay, I feel I'm affirming that I'm confident in myself, you actually just have to believe it. And the moment that you believe it, you just feel better about yourself.
Like I saw something and it was like, oh, like, do you see my insecurities? No.
I saw that too.
Like you don't see them, so nobody sees yours. What's like sense of being like, oh my gosh, like I feel really insecure in this outfit. Who cares? Just fake it. Go out. Have fun. Don't sit there and like make it feel like, oh yeah, people's opinions matter at the end of the day. They don't. You're probably never going to see that person again, to be honest.
And truthfully, like Kelly just said,
wear what you
like
want
you
to
just
wear.
said,
It does not matter.
no one knows your insecurities when you're in public. Nobody knows.
Like,
no one
you
knows.
don't just go grocery shopping and look over and be like, oh, you could tell they're like really insecure about this or that. You don't know. Like, you don't know.
Like, for instance, I could look at you and say, I don't see anything about you that I would find an insecurity or a flaw in when if I were you, yet there's something that maybe you feel a little bit insecure about. Same thing with me. You might look at me and say, oh, I don't see anything, I don't see a flaw, yet there's things that I possibly was or am insecure about, and you wouldn't know that because I'm not going to tell you. And you sit there and you constantly think. A lot of people get in this cycle where they're constantly thinking and having to reassure to themselves, and a lot of people like to find reassurance in other people. So they'll mention something about themselves like, oh, I hate the way this looks or that, and they want to find reassurance in other people, and they want other people to assure them that, no, that looks fine, you look great. And it's nice to get advice from other people, but you shouldn't have to ask external resources or people for that validation and say, oh yeah, this looks great. You have to feel confident on your own.
It's not a good thing to start in your mind and be like, oh yeah, I need like reassurance from this or that in order like for me to feel like happy in a day. That's not something you really want to start in your mind.
Because it's training your mind to, when you feel insecure about something, you have to ask other people. You need that reassurance from other people. And that's why
when somebody doesn't, you don't know what to do.
Yeah, you don't know how to take it. And that's why I said, if you're trying to glow up or improve yourself, I like to say it's improving yourself because glowing up, yes, is the same thing. It's kind of like that new term.
Improving yourself is not getting like answers from other people. It's about you.
That's the initial step into glowing up. Do not look for other people to say, like, don't look and wait and do things like, for example, say you are glowing up and you think that you are, and you're like, I'm doing all these new things, yet no one's saying that I look any different. No one's saying I feel different.
It's about the way you feel.
Yeah, you have to say, well, how do I feel? I feel different. I feel happier. I feel healthier. I feel better about myself. Don't look for other people to say, like, if I looked over at Kelly right now and said, Kelly, you look so amazing. You look like you're glowing up. And yet, say she's going through this like process where she's glowing up and she's not telling anyone. She's moving in silence and I don't know about it. And she's like, but maybe I'm not doing anything because no one's saying anything. You are doing something. The moment that you change something and start to actually focus on you and improve yourself, you know that you're changing and you know you're going to get different results. You can't keep doing the same thing and sticking to the same routine and expecting the same results, right? So if you're trying to improve yourself, you need to change little things. And this is a process. It doesn't happen overnight. So if somebody's like, this is how you glow up in 7 days, this is how you glow up in a week, it takes time. And you're never truly like at that stage where you like glue up. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. Like it takes time.
In general, people like look over at somebody and they're like, oh my gosh, they had like a really big glow up. But it's more of like the way your personality is. If you're somebody that's really fake, I would not consider that somebody glowing up. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, if you're a fake person, I mean, how's that really glowing up?
And that's why I said it starts internally. I don't think a glow up starts with the physical features at all. I think that they can help the physical attributes and like altering them and changing them, yes. But I think it starts inside in your mindset. It all starts with your mind. I think that you have to affirm to yourself that this isn't for other people, it's for you. Just like anything you should do, it's not for other people. It's not for the judgment of other people. Other people should not be judging and criticizing whether you're doing something that's improving yourself. If you feel it's improving yourself and you feel that it is, working towards that goal that you have, then great. That's perfect for you. But if you're looking at it, oh, I'm not going to keep pursuing this unless other people validate that I'm glowing up or I'm doing better for myself, I'm just going to stop. No, you keep doing that. And if other people are like, I notice sometimes when you're glowing up or you're trying to improve yourself, sometimes people tell you like, oh, why'd you change that about yourself? Or why are you doing that? But yet you feel happier about it. People do notice. Sometimes they don't quickly say something. They might point something out and say, oh, I noticed these little changes in you, but yet you feel better about yourself.
Don't sit there and like be like, oh, like you feel bad about yourself. No, if it makes you happy, it's for you, not for other people.
You have to become secure with yourself, because when you become secure with yourself internally, then all those external features about yourself that you're trying to glow up or change, I guess, or improve, then you're going to feel secure. And when people try to tell you, oh, or judge you and tell you, oh, that's not like, that's kind of not appealing, but you'll feel better and confident. Confidence is really important though, when it comes to that. I definitely think so, because it's not like it's just like an internal thing and a mindset. It's also like a physical thing.
No matter if you're faking it, people don't know if you're faking it. So you're better off just faking it if you don't actually feel that, because it's like I said, people don't notice your insecurities. People do not notice if you're confident or not. If you fake it, I doubt somebody's going to even notice the difference.
And I notice if you're trying to improve yourself and sometimes you find yourself in a mindset where you are comparing yourself to other people and like, oh, well, they look a bit more appealing in this sense, or they look a bit better than me, or they seem like they're doing better than me. Take your mind off of that and just kind of like, I found it, just snap out of it. Just forget about it and say, well, I know I'm working on myself right now and it's me against me, not me against them. That's what I would say. And I've done that before where I'm like, okay, it's me against me. I need to focus on me. This is for me, not for other people. I'm not trying to prove myself to other people. I'm trying to prove myself to the person that I was yesterday. And I know I've said this when we're comparing ourselves to other people. Don't compare yourself to somebody else. And don't try to drag other people down when you're trying to do better for yourself out of the insecurity. Like if you find somebody or you know somebody and they're sitting there and they're cutting other people down right in front of you, just keep in mind they're cutting you down behind your back.
Definitely they are.
They are, because there's no reason why you should be cutting other people down if you're secure in yourself. If you look at somebody else and you want to criticize their body image or their physical features or just how they act or their personality and to other people, then that tells me they're doing it to you as well, because there's no reason they need to do that if they're secure in themselves. If you're secure in yourself and you're happy with who you are and you're content, you're not going to get jealous. You're not going to criticize other people. Yes, jealousy is a human, emotion. We get jealous, but you're not gonna, tell other people.
No matter how jealous you are, don't sit there and cut somebody down.
You're not gonna cut other people down.
It's like at the end of the day, you don't even know what somebody's going through. You know what I'm saying?
So if you're trying to glow up, that's another thing not to do. Don't sit there and cut other people down, because like Kelly said, I think glowing up does have something to do with your character and the way you treat other people. It does. I really do think it does, because the moment you start treating other people better and start noticing the good qualities in other people,
will notice that in an instant second.
And it makes you seem more naturally, I guess we could say, attractive, because that's what I think a majority of the glowing up process is to appear more attractive and feel more confident in who you are, I should say.
But I feel like in general, a glow up is basically like a more like mature version of you, and having like that little like ego or like that little fakeness in you that's like, oh yeah, I think I'm better than everybody. I have to sit here and judge everybody. That's not a glow up. It's not a glow up unless you can look at people and say, you know what, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, maybe I don't have that, but at least I have this. And I admire the traits that they do have. Like, I admire people that can see the good in other people.
Everybody's different. Nobody's going to be the same, because if everybody was the same, it would be boring.
But the moment you see someone cutting down people and trying to make them feel insecure about themselves and saying, oh, why do you do that? Why do you look like this? Oh, do you think this person looks like that? I know everyone's had to have heard. You have someone you've at least come across in your life or encountered that has probably cut someone down and said, oh, don't you think they look like this? Or do you think they could change this? And that's not the way to, you shouldn't be judging people. And that's definitely not something you should do. You should encourage people and tell them, they like compliment them. And even if it's not something you personally would do, you shouldn't sit there and cut them down for that, in my opinion, I think. And that's another thing, is when you're glowing up, I think you should cut those types of people out of your life. And if you don't have that possibility, just limit the amount of time you spend with those people, because those people will kind of diminish your confidence, and they will make you, I think it's kind of like a tactic to make you think about yourself a little bit and say, oh, maybe there is something wrong with me.
Even sometimes you notice the people that you hang around with, maybe they're like really like body discriminating, or they're just like very like jealous, like judgy people. You tend to notice that you start feeling more bad about yourself because you're around those people. And it's like, that's when you notice you just have to take a step back from those people and really notice like yourself, and actually be like, like love yourself. Don't
set boundaries.
Exactly.
Especially if you're in the initiation process of glowing up or trying to improve yourself, you definitely want to limit your exposure to those people.
You will notice the people that are actually like fake or whatever, and they're not like,
yeah, because they'll
sit there and they'll be like, oh, well, like I liked you that way, when really they just want to make you look bad.
Yeah, like if you're trying to change yourself, or like, just not change yourself, but try to improve yourself, and they notice it. Maybe they say, oh, you should have just stayed like that, or why did you change that? Why'd you do that? Like, they're not gonna
why'd you get that haircut? Why'd you start wearing makeup? Like, yeah, like why are you nice to those people now?
Like if you care about somebody. If they're doing something that's negatively impacting them and they're telling you that, that's different. But if you're positively trying to impact yourself and improve yourself, and they're trying to say those little comments about your appearance or just how you've changed, or little things that you started, like habits maybe that you started and they've noted that, they're going to encourage you if they care about you. Like if I notice something you're doing, I'm going to encourage you if I notice it's positively impacting you. I'm like, that's great. You know, if you're like, oh, I'm going to the gym, or I'm doing this, I'm eating healthier now, or oh, I'm taking better care of my hair, I'm doing more skincare, I'm doing this with my makeup, oh, I've started this meditation practice, oh, I've started doing yoga, oh, I started changing my style and I'm really into this now, or maybe I'm like doing something else for the community that makes me feel better about myself. And I'm telling you, I'm encouraging you to keep doing that. That's somebody who's being real in your life. And those are people you want to keep around. You want people around you, especially if you're trying to improve yourself, that are going to push you to improve yourself. And you cannot depend on that, though. That is one thing I will admit, is you cannot depend on those people. You have to also come down to it that it's you against you, and you're going to push yourself to do better. You can't sit there and say, these people are going to push me.
Nobody's going to push you more than yourself.
Exactly. Those people they weren't there before, maybe they won't be there in the future. And you should just depend on the person you are and say, I'm going to keep pushing myself regardless if these people are here or not. Yes, they can compliment you and they can come into your life and encourage you to do better and push you. And there is people that will stick around to do that, I will say. But sometimes they aren't always there. And even when they're not there, you have to push yourself.
It's the way that you feel about yourself, not about like other people.
And those people, like I said, external validations from other people, you can't seek those. The moment you seek those, you're wiring your brain to automatically
get used to people like telling you that stuff.
Yeah, automatically revert yourself to external validations anytime you do something better for yourself. Anytime you do something that you think is bettering yourself, you're going to look towards other people to validate that and say, oh, is this okay? Is this what I should do? Do I look better? Do I feel better? And they're going to answer the question for you. When really, why don't you ask yourself that question? So cutting people off and definitely focusing on the internal being of yourself. That is definitely, for me, the first step to glowing up. I don't think you can change anything physically until you've become confident in yourself, because you just can't. I just really don't think you can. I'm really I believe that. I definitely think that when you zone in for a minute, and sometimes you have to just forget about everything else and just zone in on who you are inside and say, okay, it starts with that. Who am I? And how do I feel about me? That's what I would ask yourself. And then things that you want to improve on. Maybe make a list of the things you want to improve on. Like, oh, I want to become a bit more nice to people. Maybe that's something and that will help you improve yourself. And that's glowing up in general, just doing little things like that and taking it day by day, starting new little habits that make you feel better about yourself. Physically, what are some physical things that you can do to improve yourself? At least for you, because I know you kind of changed over the last few months, definitely, in your appearance and how you've kind of decided to aesthetically be.
I mean, I feel like it's different for everybody, because maybe you're just insecure in maybe the way your skin is. And I know acne is something that even for me, but I kind of got it all figured out because I'm really into skincare or whatever. But even just in general, finding certain hairstyles, I'm even anybody, I'm saying this for everybody, but maybe a certain hairstyle looks better on you, just anything. But don't sit there and listen to people, because people used to tell me oh, why do you wear so much makeup, this or that. And honestly, at the end of the day, it made me happy. I liked being creative and doing makeup. It wasn't for other people, it was for me, and I never stopped doing it. And you have to be confident in order to have a glow up, because you can't sit there and let other people's I don't even know,
opinions.
their bad opinions about you be oh yeah, you shouldn't do your hair, you shouldn't do makeup, you're too young for that, this or that. It's not you.
Another thing I want to mention is being fearful of changing your appearance, because I found myself where sometimes I was oh, I don't want to do that, or I don't want to maybe do something like this.
Because you're scared of letting go of the past.
Yeah, basically. You're scared, you're comfortable, and that's how you've always been perceived. So maybe
sometimes you have to step out of your comfort zone.
Stepping out of your comfort zone, the moment you step out of your comfort zone, you'll notice that you really change. And sometimes it's in a really positive way. For me, it was I noticed when I started stepping out of my comfort zone, I became more confident because I was having these experiences, and I was finding out who I was and the person I always wanted be, I guess you could say. And the things I always wanted to try that I was always fearful, like if you're fearful of trying this, or maybe like, I mean, physically, like maybe you don't want to change your hair, you don't want to try a new style, maybe you always had this some sort of idealistic style that you wanted to attempt, or makeup look, or maybe you always wanted to get into skincare, or there's something that you always wanted to do yet you never tried it. And I'm not saying to make some abrupt change or like do anything negatively. I'm for the improvement process. But I think you should take the risk and do it if that's what's really calling you. You've always wanted to do it, because you never know. Maybe it's something that you actually will end up really enjoying, and you're like, oh, this is actually, I feel so confident in the person I am. Like, I think when I did that, that was the moment I was like, I realized what I am, and I realized what matches with my energy. Because you know how you're kind of, I think throughout life you try different things. Definitely with physical appearance, maybe you went through that stage and you look back and you're like, what was this? Like, I know I've had this moment, so I was like, what was this? And I don't regret it. I never do. And I always tell everyone that when they're always like, what do you look like when you were like younger? I'm like, I don't regret what I did, because like it shaped who I am now.
In general, you have to like go through different eras in life, basically like trying different like like aesthetics or whatever, to actually see what fits you the best and the way you feel happy.
Yeah, and it matches your energy. And I think that we fear that. Like, a lot of us want to try something and we're like so close. We're like, I want to do this.
Do it. If you feel like you want to do it, just do it.
And that's definitely a step into glowing up and improving yourself, is you have to change yourself, or change these little habits that you have.
Because the way you have to look at it is there's something holding you back from doing it. And the way you have to look at it is you only live once.
Yeah,
just do it. I mean, unless it's something that's going to be like negatively like impacting you,
or other people around you.
But if it's just something like with your hair and you really want to just try something new with like your clothes or whatever, do what you want.
Go for it. Try it. Try it. I mean, it's something that you definitely may never regret.
I feel like another thing that's like with glow up is like keeping up on your hygiene. I feel like some people don't talk about that, because I feel like it's just like the little things like hair, makeup, clothing, like your style, confidence, but like,
I also want to mention, because I feel like this is leaning a lot towards like feminine people, or people who identify as more feminine.
It's for the guys too.
Guys as well. This is definitely things I think could help with guys if you want to glow up, but I think confidence is important. I definitely want to mention that, because I've already said this like 3 or 4 times, how important confidence is, but I really don't think people realize this, because
it's not even about like your external looks. Confidence, like, I mean,
it's really a game changer, as I should say, because people can feel your confidence. When you see someone, you're like, they're confident. I can just feel it. And that changes everything for everyone, because of the way you're perceived, it just changes. It's the perception other people have of you. They're like, oh, they're confident. They feel secure in themselves. Or when you're just yourself, let me point this out. When you're authentic and you're naturally who you are, and maybe that is changing something about you. Maybe you always, say for example, your aesthetic or your style or the way you present yourself is comparable to other people. Maybe you're somebody who's always kind of just followed the crowd, and you're like, I just dress like everyone else, or I go to school every day, just kind of fitting in with everyone else, because I guess that's what I feel like is the normal thing to do. But then one day you're like, and maybe that's where I was mentioning the part where you've always felt like there was something that other people don't do or don't wear that you're drawn to, but you're too fearful to do it or try it because you're afraid how other people are going to perceive you. Do it for yourself. Do not do it for other people. Dress how you want to dress and do your own thing because you want to do it, not because other people want to do it. If they look at you and they're like, this is interesting, you're odd, what are you doing? Well, let them think like that, okay? Just let them perceive you.
Create
how they
your own
perceive
style.
You. Do your own thing. And that's how you can tell if somebody's confident and different from the crowd. And then they have this change in them, and you can just tell. And that's much more appealing. And that's somebody that you're much more comfortable with. And people are going to look at you, and people are going to judge you when you're yourself, because people see that. And some people are very insecure in themselves, and they aspire to be like you when you're like that. So they'll find little ways to cut you down or comment on you. And that's why I said it has to start from within. You have to affirm to yourself that you're who you are, and you're not going to change for other people, and you're confident in the person you are. And obviously, it's not like an easy process that can happen overnight. It takes time, and there's much more to it. It's not like you just glow up, and it's not like those classic glow ups. This isn't like one of those classic glow ups you have because you just changed physically like over the summer. I mean, this is like the glow up where you're like trying to improve yourself, and that's always something that's evolving. It always takes time, and you're always constantly, I think, improving yourself over time.